What happens when a lone lioness risks everything to save her cub from a crocodile, and the only help comes from the sky? What follows is a chain of betrayals, exile, and a moment so raw it silences even the fiercest predators. You know, if there's one thing I've learned in the savannah, it's that the most dangerous moment is right after you think you're safe. I wasn't born a fool, but that morning I sure felt like one. I'm Sana, lioness, mother of 3 cubs. No man around. He left when the rains dried up. Went sniffing after younger prey, I suppose. Typical. So it's just me now, dragging around 3 furballs with teeth and attitude. We were thirsty. I mean bone-dry, tongue-sticking to your throat thirsty. So what does a good mother do? I took them to the river. Now, don't judge me yet. I didn't want to go near that filthy death trap. That river hasn't been right since the humans dammed it up north. Used to be a gentle stream. Now, it's a rotten mud pit crawling with oversized lizards, crocodiles that treat anything that moves like buffet snacks. But my cubs were crying, and I'd rather take my chances with a gator than watch them shrivel in the sun. And of course that's when Tama, my oldest, my boldest, decided he didn't need me. He ran straight for the bank, splashing around like he owned the place. Cute, right? Except cute gets you killed out here. The water twitched. I swear, I felt the air shift, and boom, up shot this massive crocodile, mouth like a nightmare, eyes locked on my baby. Time froze. I ran. I don't remember moving, but my heart nearly burst through my ribs. Tama screamed, a sound I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. That beast's jaws were inches away when something cut through the sky. Whoosh! An eagle, and not just any eagle. A crowned eagle, wings wide as a doorframe. It dove like a thunderbolt, slamming into the croc's eye like it was settling a score from a past life. That lizard thrashed, hissed, and backed off like it just got hit with lightning. Tama scrambled out, soaked and shaking. I grabbed him with my teeth, yanked him back, heart pounding. That eagle, it just circled once like it was checking we were still breathing, and flew off. Just like that. And for one glorious moment, I thought we were safe. Ha! How wrong I was. Back in our dry patch under the acacia, Tama clung to me like a burr. His brothers sniffed him like he was made of magic, but not everyone was thrilled. Bisa, old, cranky, queen of side eyes, marched over with that look only bitter lionesses can perfect. "You brought danger to the pride," she growled. "Oh, I'm sorry," I snapped. "Should I have let my son become lunch?" She didn't like that. None of the elders did. They muttered, hissed, paced in circles. Blamed me for the croc showing up like I invited it. Said I broke the circle of caution. Give me a break. All I did was save my kid. But I saw it, the way they looked at me after, like I was tainted, bad luck, a liability. Now let me ask you, how does saving your own child make you the villain? That night, I didn't sleep, not with my ears twitching at every sound. The cubs whimpered in their dreams. Tama flinched in his sleep. I lay there thinking, this wasn't just fear. This was judgment, and it stung worse than the croc's teeth ever could. We needed water, again. And now, the others were keeping us from the river. Said it was too risky. For us, not them. So the next day, I waited till sundown, tucked the boys into a patch of grass, and left alone. I headed east. There was a spot, a dried-out stream bed that sometimes had pockets of water. It wasn't much, but it was something. And it was better than waiting for permission. The sky was bruised pink, shadows long, and somewhere up there that eagle watched me again. I swear it followed me. Didn't squawk, didn't dive, just watched. And not the glad you're alive kind of watching. The I was hoping you wouldn't come back kind. That night, she didn't say a word, just turned and walked off. And the others? They followed. That's when it hit me. I was no longer part of the pride, not really. I had become the warning sign no one wanted to read, the walking consequence they didn't want to be near. Not because I did something wrong, but because I did something right. The next morning, the whispers turned into orders. You need to move your cubs farther from the group. We can't have danger lingering around the pride. Too many predators are circling. Funny how quickly survival turns into politics. And just like that, I was voted off the island. No ceremony, no goodbyes. Just a slow, silent exile, served with a side of "for your own safety." Now let me explain something most folks don't get about lion life. It ain't a Disney movie. You don't get backup when things go bad. You don't get applause for bravery. You get judged for surviving, and nothing scares a group more than someone who makes them look cowardly. So I took my boys and walked. My legs were aching, and my heart was doing this ugly stutter beat that made me feel like I'd collapse. But I kept walking. Every step I hoped that eagle might show up again. Don't ask me why. It's not like birds do reunions. But I guess when everything else turns its back, even a silent shadow in the sky feels like hope. 2 nights later, we set up near a bone-dry ravine. Not ideal, but safer. Or so I thought. At midnight, the wind picked up. The boys were asleep. I was barely keeping my eyes open. And then, a sound. Not a roar, not a growl. Footsteps, heavy, steady, confident. I stood up, body tense. That's when I saw them. Not lions, not hyenas, dogs, feral dogs, big ones. Packs of them had started roaming farther out, scavenging where they didn't belong, driven by drought, driven by hunger, and worst of all, driven by no rules. There were 5, maybe 6. I was outnumbered, outmuscled, and way too tired for heroics. I looked at my cubs, still sleeping, blissfully unaware that the world was about to turn upside down. The lead dog stepped forward, ugly, patchy coat, yellow eyes like dried pus. He sniffed the air and smiled. Don't tell me animals can't smile. They can. And this one smiled like he'd already won. I let out a warning growl. He didn't flinch. Now, a smart mother runs. But a lioness, she doesn't run. Not when her kids are behind her, not when death is looking her in the face. So I lunged. We fought. Dirt flew. Teeth snapped. One of them got me on the leg. Another bit my side. I roared, loud enough to wake the cubs. They cried, huddled under the brush. My blood hit the dust like it had a story to tell. And just when I thought I'd be dragged down for good, something screamed. Not me, not the cubs, the sky, swoosh, crack, that eagle again. I couldn't believe it. It dove straight into the pack like vengeance with wings. One dog yelped, sprinted off, another followed. The rest panicked. They weren't expecting a high-speed attack from above. Within seconds, they were gone. I collapsed, bleeding, breathing, barely. The eagle circled once, then landed, just out of reach. Its eyes fixed on me, not like a hunter, but like a witness. By dawn, I could hardly move. My wounds stung like betrayal. The boys licked my face, trying to help, confused and scared. And as the sun rose, something else came into view on the ridge. Lions, not my old pride. No, these were strangers, outsiders, and they weren't coming with welcome baskets. They saw me, alone, weak, bleeding, and they saw opportunity. This is the turning point. Everything you've been waiting for, it's right here. Don't blink, because what happens next flips the whole story on its head. Stay for part 3. You're not going to want to miss how this lioness answers back. You ever stare down something and just know you're outmatched? That ridge wasn't just dirt and muscle. It was a walking wall of teeth. 3 male lions, thick-maned, and instead I let out a growl. Not a roar, a low, crackling sound like bones grinding under pressure. My message was clear. You might win, but you'll bleed for it. He hesitated. That hesitation, that was everything. But the tension snapped when Tama, brave, foolish Tama, bared his teeth and barked. One of the males lunged, and that's when the sky screamed. The eagle, again out of nowhere like it had been watching the whole damn time, dropped from the clouds like a war drum. It slammed into the attacker's face with such force that even I flinched. Blood hit the air. The lion shrieked, flailing. The others backed off instantly, confused, angry, spooked. And then came the noise. The human kind. A jeep rolled over the rise, grinding tires and bright lights. Those tourists again. Same crew, cameras clicking, radios buzzing. The male lions turned and bolted. Call them kings all you want. Nothing runs faster than ego wounded in public. I collapsed again, my body done, my soul empty. But my boys, they crawled into my side, and that eagle, still circling, let out a long cry, a sound I'll never forget. It wasn't victory, it wasn't warning, it was witness. 2 weeks later, I healed. Slowly. The humans, they called in a wildlife patrol. Turned out they'd been tracking the eagle too. Tagged years ago, it had been observed interfering in multiple predator conflicts. Some thought it was rogue, others thought it had learned to recognize imbalance. Me? I didn't care what they called it. That bird saved my son, twice. And more than that, it saved me from disappearing into silence. Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Sometimes, the system doesn't protect mothers. Not in the wild, not in the world, not anywhere. It blames us, burdens us, casts us out the second we make too much noise or take up too much space. But you know what? I survived. And I taught my boys that surviving isn't shameful. It's sacred. I never rejoined the old pride. Didn't need to. Because out here, respect isn't something handed to you. It's carved out in blood, fire, and grit. So next time someone tells you animals don't feel loyalty, don't believe it. Because I've seen it. From the sky. That was the storm, and the roar, and the rise. If this story struck a nerve, you're not alone. Sometimes the wild speaks louder than we do, and it has a damn good point.